Good afternoon and welcome to our virtual first time homebuyer event. I'm your host, Bill Haga, Executive Loan Officer with Rocket Mortgage Local. Always stress local because my local pricing's always a good 1% to 1.25% lower than our general office in Detroit, Michigan. So on a $500,000 purchase, it's a $5,000 savings. Today, we are going to be in Fort Washington, Maryland with Marvell Tuesday, the real estate educator. She's with the Home Team Realty Group, and she's going to be joining us. Hi, Marvell. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. It was pretty cold this morning in Indiana. How's the weather over there?
It's pretty chilly. It's not that bad, but you need a jacket.
Yes. Now, when I looked up your area, one thing that I love was that you're surrounded by water, right? Got a lot of
Yes,
water around you, a lot of water views, which means some beautiful real estate in the area.
absolutely. We surrounded by the Chesapeake Bay, of course. We have small creeks around here. Matter of fact, my office is right around the corner. If anybody's familiar with National Harbor, the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. There's water there. Anywhere you want to go, you will find some water. Even down Southern Maryland, you'll find water. So and talk about waterfront properties. Here in Fort Washington, we do have waterfront properties that have waterfront views or right on the waterfront. So
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay, so we're excited to be in Washington. I'm sorry, Fort Washington, Maryland today, and today we're going to go through the steps of home buying. Um,
okay.
we're gonna we're gonna walk through some things. We're gonna if you can go ahead and pull up. This is steps of the home buying. If you can go ahead and go to the agenda, we'll go ahead and go to there. We'll just talk a little bit about myself, a little bit about Marvell, and then we'll talk about Fort Washington, Maryland's market. We'll talk about the steps to home ownership. I've got some programs and some details on those, and some programs that are coming soon. And then, of course, we'll be thanking you and making sure that we're posting, how you can contact myself and Marvell so you can get the ball rolling and get your next set of keys or your first set of keys. All right, perfect. All right, a little bit about myself. I'm from a very small little town in Indiana. There's probably about 3,500 people there when I was growing up. So if you ever stepped out of line, of course, your mom and dad would know probably within minutes, and they knew you well enough that they would just go ahead and correct you, and then tell your parents that, hey, I had to correct your boy or whatever the case was. So love the little town. It's grown so much. In fact, it's even been voted one of the most best places to live in Indiana. So,
Oh, yeah.
tribute to Covington, Indiana. Great job out there, guys. Appreciate you. I do have a degree in business management and statistics. I guess that's why I love numbers. I've been in the business for 23 years. Prior to this, I was a store manager for Lowe's Home Improvement Center, managing about 275 different personalities back then. Now I just have to worry about my own. So that's a huge difference. When I got into the business, um, it took me about 6 months to take over the lead and be the top dog in the office. I stretched that out to a good, I think it was like 4 or 5 years before one of my proteges, one of these 150 LOs that I trained, um, he was younger. He just had more time, and he just took me over. He took over first place and retired me, in fact, because he never stopped running. So I've always been a top 10% producer. Sometimes I break the 5%, but I normally hang out in the top 10%. We do have an 11-year-old daughter. Yes, I'm an old dad. She helps keep me young for sure. Um, she's, recently 3 sports. That's 3 sports and work a job that we work that seems to not have any end to it. right? You got customers that are texting you at night and texting you in the morning, and everything that we do. And so, yep, she keeps us busy and keeps us young. My family, we love all outdoor sports activities. We love boating, camping, hunting, hiking, anything to get away from the TV. I always say that was my dad's big thing. If you're really living, then you're not in the house, right? You're outside the house. So I try to instill those same things within my family. So that's just a little bit about me. Marvell, how about some things about yourself?
Well, first of all, I am Marvell Truesdale, the real estate educator. I'm licensed in Maryland, and I was born in Washington, D.C., but I moved when I was like 6 or 7 years old to Prince George's County, which is outside of D.C. still, maybe about 15 minutes or so at the most. I would say that I accidentally got into real estate. So
Did
here's
you
some
trip
things
and
about
fall?
me. I didn't trip and fall, but I'm gonna tell you something. It felt like I tripped and fall. I thought I was fooled into real estate, but you know what? I love it because I've been doing it for like 28 years now. But here's are some things about me. I'm licensed to be in the ring, you know. And most people like, well, what does that mean? No, I'm not licensed to be in the ring, a boxing ring, but not to be a fighter. Um, and that was accidental too. Seem like everything accidental. The only thing that's not accidental is me helping my clients buy and sell houses.
There you go. And I bet it's all blessings. I'm sure of it.
It is actually what that means is, I had a friend that was a trainer, pro fight trainer. So he needed someone to be in the corner with one of the boxers. At the last minute, they were like, you got to get your license. And I got my license on the spot that day at a boxing match. And what I was able to do was, the person that go and wipe the sweat off of their brows and give them water and give them a little confidence and kind of like push them back in the ring.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was me. So I did that for 3 pro fights. And so I always say, you know what? I did pro fighting, not boxing, but I was there, right?
That is
Um,
neat.
yeah. And actually, that's more so something we do as realtors, something we do as a loan officer. You know what? We don't beat them up. We just help them along the way. That's it.
I
When
love
they
it.
get scared and they start sweating because they will sweat, right?
It is a process.
It's a process. So we're there to pat their brow, give them a little water, and be the cheerleader that they need to get them back in the fight. Okay. So another thing, small but mighty with a big heart. I have a truly, truly big heart. I'm about the community. I have a big mouth as well, and that would be the next thing to chat me a talker. But most people would talk to me on the phone. Most people would see me on like Zoom or something like this, right? And then they're like, when they meet me, they're like, oh my gosh, you know what? I thought you was tall. I thought you was bigger. And I'm like, no, I'm only 5'2". I think my presence in my mouth make me feel bigger, right? So
I love
y'all
it.
can always see I'm a champion talker. One thing I think, Bill, you said you like to talk too. So I don't know.
Yes,
You and I are going to have a good time today.
we
My
sure are.
yeah, my family member named me Motor Mouth because I would never be quiet. And so, I just love to talk. And it's not that I love to talk. I like to educate people. I like to inform people. So that's one thing. Born entertainer and bold thinking. I'm always trying to be creative. I'm always trying to think way ahead of things just so I can be knowledgeable about it. But not only that, one thing I realized is that if I wasn't in real estate, I probably would be an event planner, maybe a caterer, and I have dabbled in that. I love decorating homes and different things, and I love staging because I'm a stager as well, and that comes in handy with my clients, not just my
Yeah,
sellers staging their house, but also with my buyers. Because a lot of them say, well, I don't know what to do with this space,
right.
and you start giving them ideas. Then here's the one we was laughing about, the accident realtor with a CPA dream. I had no idea becoming a realtor. I wanted to be a CPA. I was in accounting. I studied for accounting. And I tell you what happened. What happened was in 1996, I had a three month old daughter, and I was working. And I always knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur by the time of age of 27, but this just did not go as planned, should I say. So I go back to work, and I was like, I don't like being here. I don't want to be here. I was stressing out, and I was like, what am I going to do? So I don't know what happened. I just woke up one day and said, I'm done. I'm done. I went, cleared out my office, and I said, bye bye. And of course, they're like, wait a minute. Are you certain you want to do this? Come on back and give us 2 more weeks and think about it. And I said, okay. But I knew in my heart what I wanted to do. Right.
Yeah.
So I gave them 2 days and I said, no, I'm out. And it was the best decision, to be honest with you. So I started a business. Like I said, I'm a forward thinker now. Okay.
Yeah.
This is 1996. I started a business, and the business was called On Time Errand Services. And it did everything that, how you call Uber Eats, you call, what is that, Peapod? If y'all have Peapod in your area, when you get your groceries, you pack, they deliver your groceries, dry cleaning, tags. That was me. I would go to the DMV and, yes, stand in those long lines for people to get their tags. So, like I said, but it folded because it was too forward thinking people, because they were like, I don't see this working. Nobody gonna pay you to do errands, and I had nobody to fund me.
Right.
And so, kapoop, there I am with a 3-month-old child. At that time, she probably was close to the one. And it was like,
Yeah.
what do I do? I want my business, because I have always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I was like, I want my business, but what do I do? Here's where I fell into real estate, Bill. I fell into real estate because I was looking at an ad, and I was like, this person want an assistant. I'm good at paperwork. I'm good at talking.
Yeah. Your
And so
skills aligned.
exactly, it aligned like, woo, this is gonna be great. Look, quick money. And the person was a real estate agent. And I would knew nothing about real estate, but I knew how to get on the phone. I knew how to write up stuff, customer service, should we say, right?
Yeah.
So I went there, hired me just like that. And I was like, okay, no problem. Come to find out, this person was the top realtor in Prince George's County. Had
Wow.
no idea. See how things just
A
line
blessing.
up? Yes, a blessing. And
Yes.
she was like, as we went through, she's like, honey, she never called me my name, never Marvell, never Miss Truesdale. It was always, honey, honey, you should get your license. And I said, no, I don't want a license. But honey, you really should get your license. And I said, no, honey, don't want a license. I'm just here to fund my business.
I'm just hanging out.
I'm hanging out. When 9 to 5, when 5 o'clock strikes, I was out. Right?
Yeah. I'm on my stuff at that point in time.
Exactly. So finally, for some kind of reason, I don't know, some kind of way. I mean, I don't know how I did it, but I just think I was like, let me just do it just to make her quiet, right? I did it, and I loved it since then. So
How
it
about that?
was a good thing. And the last two, because I'm about to be quiet, foodie with a sweet start. Let me tell you something. I don't know what you're drinking right now. I don't know if that's tea, water, coffee. What do you got, Bill?
I'm drinking coffee. Now,
You got
growing up,
uh-huh.
it was, my dad drank coffee, and the blacker, the tougher, the harshest, the better. And so I drink coffee for the creamers.
That's so funny because I'm a foodie, like, but lately as I got older, I started getting allergic to a lot of things.
Mm.
Mushroom, pineapple,
Oh,
seafood, everything I loved, I couldn't eat no more, right?
oh
And
no.
Bill, like you, with that coffee, I'm a creamer person too, right? I
Yeah.
don't care what kind of creamer, between French vanilla. And now I don't like hazelnut. I can't do that. I don't like pumpkin, but all the other ones, and
Oh
I'm like,
yeah.
let me try this. And coffee, and it's funny because you said your father drank coffee. My
Yep.
dad wasn't a coffee drinker, but I remember time that he probably got me addicted to this. Let me tell you what. I remember times he would drink a cup of coffee occasionally. And back in the day, you had the cup and the saucer, right?
Yes.
So when you're drinking the coffee, some of the coffee drop on the salsa.
Yep.
So when he's on his way to work, the salsa is just there, just hanging out, right? Here I
Oh,
come
yeah.
along and I'm drinking the salsa, lift it up and drink it. So I think that was the beginning of my coffee trend. But I love, love, love food. I love to cook. I love to eat. And most people are like, you know how to cook? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, no, do you know how to cook? I'm like, yeah. Cook. I'm like, yes, I know how to
Yes.
cook. I'll go in the
Yeah.
kitchen and whip up anything. It doesn't matter. I love to
Love
cook.
it.
And the last thing, energy that lights up any room. Well, let me just say this. I have been compared to a silent firecracker. And I was like, well, what does that mean? Never heard it before. And then they explained it. They say, like, you quietly walk in a room, and then all of a sudden, pop, pop. Like, I said, I never heard it, but I would take it, right?
Oh,
Because, yeah, it's the energy, it's the
it
flow.
is. I
And
love it.
Bill, when you asked me to come on today, you was like, Marville, come on. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be exciting. And then I said, well, Bill, what am I supposed to be doing? How are we going to do this? And you're like, explain it. I said, well, Bill, you know me. I got a lot of energy. You might have to bring me in, right? But I'm
Yes.
excited to be here. So those are my 7 fun facts about me. But just know I am a real estate agent with over 2 decades, close to 3 decades of experience, and I can assist in any way.
Well, thank you for sharing and opening up. It's always nice to get on the personal side, right? We do get very personal with our clients. Most of them become friends. I mean, birthdays. I have so many people that I've you know claimed to be part of my friends and my family that have been just clients.
Yes.
So I love it, and thank you for sharing. We appreciate that. Awesome. So as you can tell, um, Marvell is she's an educator, right? So a lot of us who've been in this role in this industry for some time, I mean, that's really what we do. I mean, we educate people on the process. I mean, consistently every day. I mean, that's what we do. So as we go through here, that's really all we're doing now. All right, we're just going to talk about the steps of home ownership and just discuss each line item in general. We don't have to go, too deep in certain areas, and some things we'll just touch, the top layer of. But once again, we're here. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them. We're here to answer anything that you've got. Okay. So,
Bill, before
yeah,
you
go
start,
ahead.
let me ask you a question. How did you get into the educational part? I know how
Yeah,
I got into the educational part, but how did you get into it?
yeah, I never thought. I mean, when I look back at myself at school, um, I don't think I would ever thought about being an educator at any time, right?
Yeah.
But when I got into the retail atmosphere with Menards and Lowe's, a lot of that training, right? Training is crucial. And if you don't have someone who can deliver the training in order for your people to rise to the level to be just as good as that trainer, well, your training's not working.
Right.
So in every position that I was in, it always seemed that I was excelling in my certain position. So then I would become the trainer. So as I moved up, that's what I constantly was doing was training people. And I realized that the day that I took my phone as a department manager in millwork and handed it to a part-timer and said, "You're running the show today, bud." And I said, "You're taking every phone call, but I'm going to be here with you."
Yeah.
And his eyes are about this big, right? He's a college kid. And he was like, "Oh my God, Bill, are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're not going to cost us any sales. I'm here. We got you." And it was that day that I realized you're only as strong as your weakest person.
Hmm.
So if you're not bringing your team up, you're not bringing your family members up, whatever the case may be, however you be looking at it, That's on you. Somebody's got to do that, especially in your family, right? Somebody's got to be that person who does the research, who double checks things, who, thinks about those things. One, because most people are just in their daily stuff and their family, and they don't even think about anything outside of that. So
Exactly.
when I got into the mortgage business, mind you, I've been in retail, 10 years at that point in time, trained tons of people in there. So then when I got into um, being a loan officer, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I was clueless, right? I mean, I just came from a store manager from Lowe's. I don't know anything about mortgages. I bought a house. That's about all I know, right? So I had to take some time. So what I did, I demoted myself to from store manager to assistant, trying to. It was a stupid move because I was still working the same hours. I just got paid less, so I didn't, I didn't think that process through very well. But I eventually, left there. I went from a large producing store to a Big Lots that was producing less than $1 million. Only had 15 employees, so I could run that with my eyes closed while I learned the mortgage business from the loan officer who did my loan on my first house.
Mm.
So thank you, Greg. Appreciate you. And so yeah, Greg trained me, and so then I kind of felt confident, right? So then I came to those crossroads. So Big Lots was getting ready to offer me a district manager position
Oh, wow.
as I'm trying to really this I was doing what you were doing, right? I'm doing this 9 to 5, but I'm really trying to do this. And then so when I finally make the move, it was my buddy who owned the mortgage company, and he'd been trying to recruit me for a couple of years, and he kept saying, our best friend, God rest his soul, Dustin was the laziest guy I ever knew. And my
Goodness.
dad had, a foot that had work ethic on it, that was constantly in my butt. So I knew if he was making the money he was making, I could at least double, maybe even triple that. So
Mm.
that got me really, really thinking. So that's what really brought me over. So in the
Mm.
transition, I realized that when I got there, I didn't know anything. They set me up with the best loan officer that he had, right? Been breaking records, been doing all this every 6 months, and he was supposed to train me.
Mm.
And this is what he did. So he wrote on a piece of paper, right, a script that I'm
Uh-huh.
supposed to call this client. So here I am, I'm reading this script, and he just hangs up the phone. He literally hangs up on the client. And he looked at me, he said, Bill, he said, I'm sorry, but you should just quit right now. You're never going to make it in this industry. And I looked at him and I was like, you have no idea what's inside this guy. There's more fight, more animal. You you don't know what you just released.
Mm-hmm.
So within 6 months, I had knocked him off the top leaderboard.
Oh, wow.
So that's
Congratulations.
what he opened up. But you know what it takes to
What?
be a top producer? I mean, there's you only have so much time in the
Mm.
day. So you got to manage every bit of it, right? So nights that I wasn't really going to be with my family, I'm pulling off. So I'm running an appointment, right? Back then, we
Mhm.
used to go to people's houses. We'd literally sit at the kitchen table with a pen or pencil and calculator and do all of it by hand and show it all out. So it was like a good hour and a half meeting, right?
Mhm.
But after those meetings, and I would schedule them around 7 o'clock, so that'd be like 8:30. But that would
Mhm.
give me like 30 minutes to 45 minutes where I could still make phone calls on the leads that I had to make sure that I constantly had business. So that's really was my key. I just outworked everybody.
Oh, wow. Well,
Yeah,
that's good. Well, I tell you one thing, something you said, um, don't know anything. You know what? When it comes to buying or selling a house, I'm not saying that people don't know anything. They know stuff simply because they can get on the internet and they can search it, or they go to their mama, their grandma, or whoever else and talk about it, and they'll tell them. But truly,
yeah,
truly, truly, they really don't know enough to navigate this through by themselves. As a loan officer, you know how
mhm,
tough it is and how many things you deal with. As a realtor, we do a lot of back end stuff. And I love the fact that you said train, because when I was doing real estate in the beginning, It was just real estate. Like you say, you go to the kitchen table. That where you talk. You be out late at night. Sometimes I was out like at 11 o'clock, just running around the beltway trying to show houses. But I said, there's got to be a method to this madness, right?
Right.
So I decided that you know what, people was coming to me and they was like, well, I don't know. I didn't know that. What's the steps? What's the process? So I decided right then and there, you know what? Let me figure out what these people are learning because everyone have a seminar, everyone have a home buying event. And I'm going to be honest with you. I was like, let me go to one of these things and see what's really happening. We went to this big old beautiful mansion back in the 90s. It was huge. And so
Oh yeah.
I sat in the crowd. No one knew I was a realtor. And I wanted to see what was being discussed. They give you this big, beautiful book about this big that you take with you, right?
Oh
And I
yeah.
still have it to this day. But I tell you what they didn't do. They wasn't detailed enough.
Mm,
They skimmed through the process.
yeah.
This is what you got to do. Find a realtor, find a loan officer, but it wasn't very detailed. So I said, you know what? I walked out there feeling like, even though I knew the process, but if I didn't, I would have been like lost. What do
Yeah.
I do now? So I decided at that point, I'm going to teach people how to buy a house. My clients, when they come to me, they do a one-on-one consultation. We go step by step in regards to what to expect. So there's no hiccups, no misunderstanding as you go through the process, because it could be like a process where people feel like they're walking in blind. What's around
Yeah.
the corner? I don't know. It's something. It's Halloween time, so we don't want nobody to go
Right.
boo, right? We don't
Yeah.
want that effect on the people. So therefore, I said I'm going to teach people. So now, I not only do I teach my clients one-on-one consultations, I also teach at UCAP, United Communities Against Poverty. I do their
I love
first-time
it.
home buyer program. I also teach at Seed. So therefore, this is something that with this home buying event today, the information they're going to get today will be very valuable. We can't
Yes.
lay it all on the line, but
Right.
I do one-on-one consultation. Bill, I'm sure you answer your phone if people call you and give them that information. So just to learn today, just to give that information and to get that information, that's very valuable,
Yes, I agree.
and so I'm glad that you are a trainer. I'm glad that you teach as well.
Yeah, I truly believe that. I mean, it's possible. Even I have this calling. It seems to be that there's. I mean, no one's teaching it, right? Still to
Exactly.
this day. I mean, not even at a college level. So
Exactly.
my mind is someone needs to handle this, and it like keeps getting pointed at me that maybe one day I'm going to go back and teach a college class on mortgages, right? Just so people can understand what it's really about and how to understand and how to use it, right? I mean,
Exactly.
you ask people what's equity. Well, most people can't even tell you what it is, let alone how to get to it, how to utilize it, how to
Mhm,
benefit it, how to use it to buy, your daughter's first house or your son's
mhm.
first house to get them started, right? One of the
Exactly.
things that I've learned is, you know, how to put your children in a much better position to start out in life, right?
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
this is us as adults now and looking down on our children and educating them and teaching them the things that they need to do and make sure that I'm in a position that when she does turn that age, like when she goes to college, oh, she's not renting. I'm buying a
Mhm,
house.
mhm.
I may even buy a 4 unit. And
Exactly.
at that point in time, that's going to be her house that she lives in, but it will be her first investment property.
And that's a good thing. That's house hacking. If anybody's listening, it's house hacking, okay? The tip that he just shared with you, that's the way you make money. That's the way you build your equity, generational wealth, you know.
Yes.
And one thing about that, Bill, is when I was growing up, you know, that wasn't taught to me.
No,
It wasn't taught in school.
had
It
no
wasn't taught by
idea.
my parents, my grandmother,
Nope.
nobody. But
Nobody.
now, in this day and age, like you said, we're adults now and we're in this profession. So, yes, it's important that we share it with our family, our friends, but share with other people because
Yes.
there's so many different things they can do with real estate. One thing about it is you said, the equity, how to use it, how to benefit from it. Most of the time, that equity is sitting there until you decide, hey, I need some money. Emergency situation may come up, and you say, hey, I need some money. I need a home equity loan. I need to pull some refinance. Yes, but there's other benefits to your equity other than just that. And Lord forbid that someone passes away or whatever. That's when the family
Yes.
start getting the equity. And be honest with you, they get the equity, but how do they use the equity? It's free
Right.
money. It's
Yes.
money. We're going to go buy a car. We're going to go buy some
Right.
clothes. We're going to go shopping. No, you need to go to Bill or come to me
Yes.
so we can show you how to use that money.
Yeah,
So,
because that money needs to grow into more money,
exactly.
not
Exactly.
deplete it or buy something that's going to depreciate and not be worth
Mhm.
anything in 5 years. So yeah, the educational piece is huge, and I love that. I mean, I love the I don't love the fact that we're uneducated as a
Mhm.
society when it comes to our industry. Um, but I am excited about being able, having the knowledge, being able to transfer that to multiple levels of understanding and teaching. I love that.
Exactly. Well, I would say this. You know what, Bill? We can go all day on this conversation. Our audience is not here to hear us say that. They're here to learn about the house. But I'm
Well,
gonna
let's
tell you
teach them.
what. We are going to teach them, but I'm going to say this. I'm excited. And so you know what? We may have to do a recap. We didn't even show people. We're gonna have to do a segment number 2. But right now we're gonna stay with segment number 1. So Bill, tell them what we're gonna teach them today.
I like it. All right. So we've got a PowerPoint we're just kind of going to go through. These are the steps to home ownership. The very first thing is you have to get pre approved, right? So, in order to do that, this is kind of the process. All right. You would contact me and we would kind of go through these steps. All right. So, the very first step is to complete your loan application. When you complete that loan application, we're asking specific questions because we're kind of narrowing things down to really what program you're going to fit into. All right. So everyone's got a story. I always want to know what the story is because the more I know about you, I can better align a program with your goals. Okay. We all have goals. If you don't have a goal, then you and I will talk about goals. All right. So once we complete that loan application, during that process, your credit will get pulled. It is part of the process. There's no way to evaluate how strong of a buyer you are um, without it. Okay. So Rocket, we pull a soft credit report so it doesn't affect your credit scores whatsoever, but it also allows us to see, you know, your accounts, your payment history, how many accounts you have active, how many you've closed, everything about your past 2 years of financing, through whatever you've done credit wise. At that point in time, there's certain things that I need to verify. I need to verify your income, make sure that we're not putting you in a position where you can't afford the house. I'm also going to be looking for assets, bank accounts, 401ks, IRAs, whatever you got out there, money market, because that builds strength within the file. Okay. So these are the reasons why we're asking for these things. All right. Also, we need to make sure and verify that you're going to qualify for the things that we're looking to get accomplished. Right. I've seen it, a few hundred times where you think that you make X amount of dollars. So you want this price of a house. But once we figure everything out, we're really probably down here that makes more financial sense. So then you're not sitting at home on a Friday night going, my God, I wish I had $10 so I could order pizza. That's the worst feeling in the world to be mortgage poor, right? We don't want any of that either. All right. So in this process, I'm going to be working up numbers for you. You're going to be understanding the numbers because we're going to be talking about those numbers. So once again, those numbers need to match your goals. Okay. Once I get done figuring all that out, then that's going to tell me really what best program scenario is going to be for you. Okay. The next thing over here, we have different programs. We have a slew of programs. All right. We're going to touch in a little deeper, but the One Plus, that's only you putting 1% down. We're putting 2% down for you as a gift, as a grant. All right. So normally you would need a 3% down, but in this program you only need 1%. Rent rewards. We actually pay you for renting, and we'll pay up to $5,000 credit for renting. We'll get into that a little deeper. We're currently doing a 1.0 temporary buy down. Who doesn't want to rate 1% lower than the market right now? Oh, I do. I'll take that all day long. And I guarantee you, all my clients want to rate 1% below the market. Okay. And that's paid by us. We have guaranteed buyout programs. Some of you already own a house and trying to sell, but haven't really gotten any looks. Right? That happens sometimes. In this case, you can purchase before you sell because within this program, they're going to give you a cash offer. If we've got a cash offer in the file, you no longer need to sell your home. We've already got a buyer for it. Okay. We've got bridge loans. If you currently already have a house, you've got equity, we can pull from that equity to use to purchase the new place. Okay. We've got super jumbos. We've got jumbo smarts. We got FHA. We got VA, and we've got conventional. So we've got all these little programs here that we're going to go in detail a little later. Um, any questions, Marvel?
Actually, I just want to go back to that pre-approval part.
Yeah.
Of course, and I'm going to come in here some kind of way because I see it in the home
Yeah. Yeah.
shopping part. That's where I'm coming in. But I would say this, you know, you, you can also do two things. You can go to a loan officer first, or you can go to a realtor first. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. Because a lot of times people start where they most comfortable. You know what I'm saying? And I
Yep.
realize most of the time as a realtor, they start with me because they like, oh, well, you know the process. But let me tell you something. They know I'm not going to pull their credit, right?
Yeah. And they see a house, right? They see a house that they're attracted to. That's the first
Exactly.
thing.
And that being said, then we have to get them to that loan officer. Send you the bill. Here, Bill, take this individual and see what their credit look like. And you touched it really, really well, Bill, because a lot of times people just start. They don't care where they start. They don't even include us. They don't include the realtor. They don't include the loan officer. They just, like you said, I'm on Zillow. I'm on Redfin.
Right.
I want this house, right? So
I'm
I
on
tell
Google.
exactly. I'm on Google. Oh, I found my dream home, right?
Yeah. I need one of
and
those FHA loans.
absolutely. And this is the thing I tell my clients all the time, or I tell people as I walk along and meet people, I say, hey, look, if you're looking for a house, you have to follow the process. You have to follow the steps. You have to trust the process. But that first question, well, do you got to pull my credit? Now, me being sarcastic, nah, we don't have to pull your credit. Nah, we just gonna give you a house. But of course we got to pull your credit. Is it a hard pull or soft pull? It's a soft pull. So, but this is the thing. You have to get your credit pulled. You have to. So you have to go to Bill and get your credit pulled because he touched it and he said it. Sometimes you look at these houses and you get off of Zillow and it's a $500,000 house. You love that house. I want that house. I can see myself sleeping in that house. I can see myself eating in that house. But guess what? It's $500,000. And when you get the bill and he run your credit, you only qualify for $300,000. So that's why it's important to get your credit pulled before you start looking for these houses. Because I always tell people a $500,000 house is totally different than a $300,000 house. It may not have all the amenities. It may not have the location you want to be in. So in order for us to get the house that you really desire and you really want, we need that information. Bill need to know how much money you make, how much money you have in your 401k. Are you getting a gift? And he just told you all they do gifts. I'm like, wow, 2% as a gift? That's a lot, Bill.
Yes.
That's, your mama and your father may not even come up with 2%, but Rocket Mortgage is coming up with 2% for you, okay, to get you in. So that's all I wanted to say with that pre-approval part, because it's very, very, very important before you step foot out the door to go look for a house, because it's difficult, and he's going to give you something, and it's like the magic ticket. And Bill, you know what I'm talking about, right? Hopefully
Oh
you
yeah.
do.
Oh
Okay, it's
yeah.
the magic ticket you get to wave. Like it's gonna be your badge of honor. You can just put it in somebody's face and say, "Here it is." So that's it. We're gonna move on.
Yeah, well, let's dive a little deeper into credit, okay? Because this is one of those categories that we can dive a little deeper. All right. So let's say that most people, because they don't understand that there's different credit modules, right? So
Yeah.
when you get your credit pulled from a bank, a mortgage company, um, we have our own algorithm that's used. So our credit scores are going to be this. Okay. It is going to be different than Credit Karma. If you go to directly to TransUnion or Equifax, everything on our side is going to be different than everything else. Okay. So you may think that you know
Mhm.
what your credit score is, but if you haven't had your credit pulled by one of these institutions, then you really don't know what your credit score is when it comes to buying a home.
Yes.
Okay. Credit cards, stuff like that. Um, yeah. For that stuff, that's what that reporting's for. This is totally different. Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, some of us have had some life events, right? Life comes at us from all different directions. 9 out of 10 times we don't see it coming, right? But it can bring you financially to your knees, your credit scores, you know, in the sewer. Um, it doesn't matter. What we do, we find out where you're at today,
Mhm.
right? And find out what that score is. And then we build from that, right? We create a plan and we go from there. I actually have a credit team that works for me, and any one of my clients who credit scores don't quite hit that 580. Our minimum score on FHA is 580. So let's say that you got a 550. Okay, right now you don't qualify, but I'm going to submit this over to my credit team. They're going to run a bunch of what if questions. What if I do this? What if I pay this account off? What if I pay this account down? What if I open up a new account? All the things that we need to figure out how to increase your credit score to get up over that 580 so you qualify. And that's all
Yeah.
for free. Okay, we do that for our clients for free. There's no one else out there that I know of that does that. Okay.
Nobody I know.
Right. I mean, it, that's man hours. That's an expense for somebody. Okay. And
Hmm.
we're doing it for you for free to help you purchase your next home. Okay. So Rocket does a lot of these little things that I love about Rocket, just to help, and there's no fees attached to it. Okay.
Absolutely. I think that a lot of people are scared to get their credit pulled because they let me say this. Let me just say this. You know, if someone would say, "Well, I don't know what's on my credit," you really know what's on your credit.
You get
You really know
mailings
what's
just
on
like
your
I
credit.
do.
I know what's on my credit. I'm sure you know what's on your credit. Okay.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, look, if you want to start this process, that's what you need to get done. I said, I have loan officer. Bill don't bite. I don't bite. We are very calm people. We're very giving people, and you know what? We're here to help you. So don't be afraid. Nothing's going to happen to you.
No.
Nothing, you know. And credit is one of those things that stop people in their tracks because they really want a
Yes.
house. They've been wanting a house for 5-10 years, but when it comes to credit, that's the thing. Well, my credit's not that great. Okay, Bill just said he can help you build your credit. You know, and the thing about it is, it's always a shameful thing. But I would say this to anybody
Yeah.
and everybody: the majority of the people who have houses was there where you at. They didn't have
Yes.
perfect credit.
Yeah.
They built their credit. They had someone look at their credit. And this is one thing I don't like to hear. I don't like to hear this, but I'm going to say it. It's always, well, I'm working on my credit. Okay. And my question to you and to the people I talk to, What are you doing with your credit? Oh, I'm trying to pay stuff down. I'm trying to pay stuff off. Stop. Stop. My advice to you is call Bill, simply because you can do something to your credit and you can destroy your credit thinking that you actually are helping your credit. You
I
cannot
see it
close
all
any
the time.
credit cards. You cannot
Yep.
close any accounts. Or you may take this $10,000 that grandma left you in her will, and I'm going to pay off this bill. And guess what? You may not have to pay off that bill. You may have to pay that bill down. You
Or
know,
you pay
uh-huh.
that bill off and your credit score drops 50 to 100 points.
Oh
I've
my
seen I've
goodness. Oh
seen
yeah,
that happen too because you think
that history.
ethical, you're doing the right thing. I owe this, I'm going to pay this. But
Hmm.
what you don't know and don't understand about it is that that information, all that negative information, stopped reporting
Yes.
for like 4 or 5 years. So now you're going to go and pay that. Now, once that's paid, now that transaction goes through. Now it has history. Now all those 5 years of bad history come and hit your report at one
Hmm.
time. That's how
Hmm.
you lose 50 to 100 points in one swing. Well, I thought I was doing the right thing. That's why we have these systems. That's why we do this for you because you don't go and throw a dart. No, you use a system so you have a planned attack and a way of processing the information and you know it's accurate. You know it's going to get you there.
Yeah, exactly. And guess what, Bill? You do it for free.
Free. Yes.
Free, free. And
Yes.
even if you decide to call me, contact me, I do my buyer consultations and seller consultation free. You get a lot of value. I'm telling you.
Yes. Absolutely. All right, we'll dive back into this. Okay, so we were over here. So we just buzzed through the programs, right? We'll go into some detail on those here in a few minutes. But the next step is it's really time to shop, right? So I'm going to give you a pre approval letter that's based off of your credit score being checked, your income being checked, your assets being checked, your reserves being checked. Okay?
Yes.
Because me qualifying you is about to put Marvell in a position where she's about to spend a lot of her personal time helping you find a house. So the last
Yep.
thing I want to do is say that someone's qualified when they're really not. So you'll never see me give anyone a pre approval unless I have those documents. Okay. Because we're not here to waste our time, right? We're professionals. We're here to give you all the time that we can, but we also have families and other hats that we wear. So pre-approval letter gives you that purchasing power. All right, that's me saying you're good to go up to X amount of dollars. Right. So at that point in time, I'm going to be emailing that to you and to Marvel because she needs that information as well. So then she knows, right? So at that point, well, I'll just kind of go through here before we jump out. So we also have a verified approval letter. So what we've done here at Rocket, and this is once again us changing the system and how things done to speed things up, we actually moved our underwriting to the front of the line
Mm.
versus keeping it to the back of the line. So what that has done, so now an underwriter is underwriting our buyers up front. So now we're getting a verified approval letter because they verified everything. Keep in mind, an underwriter is the one who says yes or no to your loan. Okay. I'm just like the um, doc collector, if you will, right? I educate you. We get the application. I handle all the stuff up front, but all the nuts and bolts, all the decision making is done by that underwriter. Okay. So when you get a verified approval letter, that puts you kind of ahead of the rest of them because everybody else out there in the market is just going to have a pre-approval letter from a loan officer like myself. All right. And the underwriter, 99.9% of the chance haven't seen that file. But so we can qualify buyers, right? And get them a better approval letter. I love to call the listing agents and tell them how strong our buyers are. So then I'm building a relationship and once again, having the last opportunity to put us ahead of somebody else. So I'll be doing that to kind of help, get us into the house. All right. But these verified approval letters are really the key. They even state that we'll pay you, the buyer, $1,000 if we don't close your loan, right? Because we've already got you verified. We've already looked at all your income documents. We've got everything on you. So now all we need is a clean title and an appraisal that appraises for value and doesn't have any repairs, right? That would be nice. If we can have those three, that loan closes in 15 to 20 days versus 20 to 30 days. Why? Because we've already verified the buyer. We just got two more pieces of the pie to verify. Everybody else has got three,
Mhm.
right? So allows confidence on our part, knowing our buyer is good to go. They're solid. There's nothing that's going to come up that we don't know about because everything's already been verified by an underwriter. Love that. All right. And then obviously Marvell is going to show you houses based off of what that pre-approval letter says that you are approved for, right? So at that point in time, she's trying to locate your best home, your favorite home, what you fall in love with, and give you those listings. And then Marvel, it's time to what? Make an offer, right? You find
It's
something that you like.
absolutely, it's time to make an offer. And you heard me say earlier, Bill got a golden ticket, and that's what you want. Yes, you do want a pre-approval letter because that will get you started. But that golden ticket is that verified approval letter. Okay, that has weight in it. That is your purchasing power. Okay, like when you walk in the door and you have that letter from Bill that says you already been through underwriting, like he said, you ahead of the game. You way ahead of the game. So if you get that letter, you should walk into open houses or to your realtor and you should be strutting that. Woo! You should say, look, well, you don't show it to them. You keep it for us. But we can say, bam. They've
Yes.
already been through underwriting. So that is magic, y'all. I'm trying to tell you. So that's why it's important that you start the process. Once you decide, hey, I'm ready to buy a house, you start that process now so you can get, as I say, the golden ticket. Okay. So some things that I want to say to Bill in regards to you know, people getting that pre-approval letter from give me 1 second. I think my plugging my computer.
Sure. Yeah, you don't want it to die.
No, I don't. I thought it was charging. Actually, I'm back, y'all. This is real. This is real live stuff here. So therefore, things happen. So if you don't mind, Bill, I don't know if you could put that chart back up for a second because I want to say something
Yep,
off of that
Mary.
chart. Okay, thank you, Mary. Okay, look, so we did the pre-approval letter, the verified approval, and all of that. And he said that's where I come in. That's where you bring the realtor in. Okay, and so as the realtor and the loan officer, Bill and I, we work hand in hand. You know, we're a team. And that's why I tell people all the time, trust your team. It's not, oh, I have a loan officer and I have a realtor. No, your loan officer and your realtor need to be working together. Okay.
Exactly.
Because we are privy to information that, you know, that can help you along the way. And I know a lot of times when you go through that process and you're trying to get that pre-approval letter or that verified approval letter, you know, Bill going to be asking you for everything. Everything. How much you got in your 401k? And trust me, I asked the same thing. I mean, I want to know because I'm about to spend my time and take you out. I need to make certain you have money. Okay. Can you afford this transaction? Am I too high? Or, you know, where do we stand? But I'm going to say this. We're going to know, we need to know everything about you because one thing I hear people say all the time, well, why do you need to know how much I have in my 401k? Why do you need to know how much I make? Like, really? Like, Bill, be honest with you, I don't care about how much a person make, and I'm quite
No.
certain you don't care either. Okay, this is our job, especially with
Yeah.
Bill. He worked for a bank. He's trying to find the perfect product and programs that work for you. So guess what? He's asking because what's going to happen? The bank is not going to give you money if they don't know you got a job. If you could pay them back, we're not talking about buying a car. You know, you go into the car dealership and you gladly give up that credit then because you need a car. They don't have to twist your arm like sometimes I feel like we do, right?
You're right.
So you say, well, here's my credit, here's my social security number. This is how much I make. You gladly give that to the car dealer. And this is what happened. I'm going to tell you how this tie in, right? Because you give it to the car dealer and the car dealer says to you, oh, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, you qualify for $35,000. And it's like, oh, okay. So guess what you're going to do? You're going to go shop. You're going to go to that lot and you're going to find something for $35,000 or less. Okay. Not 40,000, not 50,000, not 60,000, 35,000 or less. Okay. And that's how a house shopping works. You know, sometimes we can stretch you maybe about 5,000 more, depending on the taxes, depending on HOA, depending on circumstances. But we can't stretch you from 35 to 100,000. That ain't gonna work. Okay. So this is the thing. So when you get that letter and you go out shopping with me, your realtor, we're gonna try to stay in that confinement of what you choose from. So you're gonna start getting houses that's in your price point. Okay. So once you start getting the houses that's in your price point, you may say, well, you know what, this one worked when this one don't, or, you know, I don't like this, I don't like that. So we're going to go through that process of the house hunting, okay? And sometimes I don't have to be there with you because you may want to go to an open house, okay? But I would say this, if you go to the open house, always let them know you're working with a realtor. That's key, y'all. That's key. And another key part is it too, because we didn't mention this here, but agency. And if y'all want more information about agency, I'm in Maryland. So I can talk to people in Maryland, but I can also tell you agency around the world is very important. Okay. You have to understand agency because the laws have changed. Okay. So be mindful of that. So when you go to these open houses, check out these listings, you know, that's what your realtor's for now. That's what I come in. I'm gonna help you find a house. I'm going to do your criteria. I want you to do a questionnaire for me, you know, because a lot of people say, I know what I want in a house. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Have you ever written it down? The answer is no. Okay. We don't need it in your head. I need it written down. So I always give them a questionnaire to fill out so I know what to look for. Because at that particular time, Bill, we said it already. They go to Zillow, they go to Redfin, they go everywhere except to the realtor first, right? So when we get this information, when I get the information that you provide to me, I put it in the MLS system. You know, that's the system that the realtors use. You know, and the thing about it is, you know, if you see something online, you can never erase what's online, right? So you can look at a house and you can say, hey, this house is $90,000. And I'm like, $90,000? What house is $90,000, right? And I go and I look for this house and I'm like, I don't see it in my system. Then I go look at the website you showing me and I'm like, did you see that says 1992 or year 2000? So we can't erase what's on the MLS. But what's I'm sorry, on the website, but what's in my system, the MLS, that's accurate. And I go a step further. Just because it's sitting on the MLS as active, sometimes agents forget to change it in the system. Sometimes they have an offer already coming in. So I take it a step further and call the listing agent. Just like Bill said, he's working for you. When we get that contract, that offer under contract, he's calling the listing agent. He's putting more power to your offer simply because he's bragging about you. He's telling them how good of a buyer you are, how solid you are, you know, and he's also telling them that, Bill, I can't remember. You had so much experience. How many years of loan officer experience you have now?
23.
Oh, 23 years. He's telling them that not only are you backed by Rocket Mortgage, because we got programs, we got money, you know, and y'all have seen Rocket Mortgage, they have money, right? But he's telling them, you're not only working with Rocket Mortgage, you working with me, you working with Bill. I got 23 years of experience, just like me as a realtor. When I make that offer for my clients, I'm calling the listing agent. I'm like, look, and I know most agents hate to hear this. I got 29 years of experience, not bragging, just to
Nope.
let you know that you're
Where
dealing
I'm at.
with exactly, you're dealing with a professional. You're dealing with someone who's going to help move the transaction along, and that's not going to drop the ball along the way. Okay, so that's something that you need to take in consideration when you work with me, you work with Bill, because we're here to help you. We're here to support you, and we're here to guide you along the way throughout this process.
Yes, absolutely. Great points. Okay, so talking about being a team, this is where we really start talking and communicating. All right, so the offer price. Okay, one of the things that no one wants is someone who thinks what they should offer on a property versus what the property is really valued at. Okay, everyone, this once again, we're not buying cars. Okay. So you just can't go, okay, well, I'll give you, $10,000 less or $20,000. It just doesn't work like that, right? Because there's comps. Comps support the value of the property. That's why it has a list price. That's how they came up with that price based off of other properties that are similar with similar upgrades, similar everything, square footage, right? Hardwood, carpet, all these that are pluses and minuses to come up with this list price, that's normally pretty stinking accurate. Okay.
Mhm.
So to go in there $20,000 less, probably wasting some time, right? If we want to strategically know where we need to be, then that's where we need to be, playing in. So you're going to let Marvell and me kind of work through that based off of your scenario, what you can cover, what you can't cover with seller credits and whatnot, right? And then we're going to come up with a solid offer so we're considered when the seller's looking at the offers in front of them. Okay. So, one of the things that I teach is if you increase 9 out of 10 of these houses have 5, 10,000 where we can kind of play with. All right. Because that's kind of the gray area of a appraiser and their evaluation. Okay. So we can possibly increase the purchase price by 5, 10 grand in order to get some closing costs covered for you. Right. But to go in there and to think that you're just going to buy something at a $20,000 discount probably isn't realistic. All right. Because once again, we do this daily and we know we're in the market, right? You just stepped into it and now starting to, you know, get overwhelmed with things.
Mhm.
So this is where our expertise comes in as well, right? So as we go through the next stage, so you just made an offer, right? We figured out what that offer is going to be aggressive, to make sure that we don't have other, because you're competing. You're not the only person looking at that house. There may
They're
be
not.
40, right? There may be 40 or 50 other people looking at that thing. So, so, so you gotta open your eyes a little bit. You're a buyer, all right, and that's a live market, and you're trying to get your bid to be accepted by the seller, right? You got to think through this while other people are trying to buy that house with the same mindset. So
Yeah.
sometimes in certain markets, like we just tried in Chicago, we went 15,000 over on this house. Now, you don't see too much of that these days, except on certain, price points. But that was one of those houses that had multiple offers. And we
Mhm.
didn't get it, but we made a aggressive offer. Okay, it was listed at 349. We went in there at 355. So we were at least over asking price and things of that nature, right? Some of these houses have never been, really any offers made, right? You've got houses that have sit on the market. Those are some of the types that you may be able to get that. But just think, if you were able to get a $20,000 discount, don't you think someone else probably would have already asked within those 180 days
Absolutely.
it's been listed?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct on that. Because one thing I realized, you said it a nice way. I'm gonna say it the way it is. Don't try to lowball, okay?
Right.
And and I simply say that simply because I have people who would try that, and I don't discourage anybody, if that's how you feel, but realistically, you're kind of like wasting time. You know what I'm saying? And you running the risk of not getting the house you want. There's only one house. I don't care if you see a house all look the same on the street. They all look cookie cutter houses, but the inside that makes the difference. And that's why those houses are being not overpriced. Bids are being higher on those houses. You think about the
Yes.
condition, you think about the location, everybody is drawn to that house. But when you come along and you're like, oh, I want to lowball them, okay, well, that may not work. Okay. I'm not going to say it won't work because I have seen it work, but I'm going to say the chances of it working are very slim. Okay. Or you have the people that have that mentality that, you know what, I love this house, I want this house, but you know what? I'm gonna give them that low price, maybe 10,000 below the market. And I'm like, why? If you want it, you like it, why are you playing with it? If anything, you should be trying to go higher just to attract. But the
Yes.
mentality is, well, it's going to start the negotiations. No, it's not. I
No,
mean, if they
it's
don't have, if they have the house on the market for a year, yeah, maybe it start the negotiation. Maybe 9 months it start the negotiation. But honestly, when it's a nice house, it's a hot house, it's really not going to start the negotiations. What's going to happen is they're going to look at it, and they're going to look at the other 30, 40 houses, offers they have too, and they're going to look at where yours begin. Oh, no. And I tell people it's going to go, nope, it may I don't want this unless you have something very, very, very attractive in there, right? But nine
yes.
times out of 10, they're going to say, no, this one's not going to work. They're not going to say to their listing agent, guess what? Call Marvell back and tell her that her client is nice and we want to start negotiating. I have never experienced that, okay?
No, it's not
Nobody has
how it works, right?
time to negotiate when it's a hot market or it's a hot property. They're not
Yeah.
negotiating. So, I tell people all the time, that's not a good plan. That's not a good strategy at all.
No.
And if you wake up in the morning and you do not have that house, how will you feel? And most people would say to me, well, it just wasn't meant to be. Oh, well, it's not going to bother me. And I'm like, okay, but when it happens to you, and you really think about it, you come back and say, maybe I shouldn't did that. I really like that house. I really wanted that house. So if it's the house you like, the house you really want, don't play games. Go
No.
for it.
Be
Put
aggressive.
forth, be aggressive. Put forth your best effort, because I'm telling you, I had he wasn't my client. I had a house, and we're going to show that house to you in a little bit. But I had a house, and at the open house, the guy loved the house. Love the house, right? So he went back to his realtor and said, I love this house. And she was like, well, make an offer. But he didn't make an offer. And then
Ah,
finally, yeah, oh, is right. Then finally, he sees under contract. And he's like, oh no. And he called his agent, and the agent called me and said, he really loved that house and he really wanted that house, the violin or the
yeah.
little. So
Yeah.
I said, well, I really thought he was going to make an offer for the house. And she said, no, but if anything changes, please give us a call. Well, guess what? Nothing's changing. It's going to settlement next week. And if that's how it happened.
Gone.
There's no
Just like
second.
that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. There's no second chances sometimes, y'all.
Yeah.
Do what you
So
have to do.
when you see something that you like, trust us. I mean, that's when
Yes,
you feel that in your gut. That means that you should be making an offer. That's that simple.
exactly.
At that
Because
moment, not 2 days, not because it's going to sell. I mean, it's a nice house. You fell in love with it. 50 other people did too.
mm-hmm. It's an emotional thing. And I tell
It
my
sure
clients
is.
all the time, when you walk in a house, there are houses that you walk in and you're like, it's okay. You look inside the side, it's okay. Then there's some houses that you walk in, that you get to the door and you walk right back out. You're like, that's not the house for me. But then there's the house that you get in and you could just feel the spirit. You can feel
Yeah.
like, oh, I can live here.
I
So
think
when
the
you
house
feel that,
picks the buyer. I think it's the other way. I
exactly,
think the house picks you.
exactly, because when it picks you need to be ready to take it. Okay. So there's a lot of things that we can do as a realtor, as a loan officer. And I would say this honestly, and I really rely on the loan officer, to be honest with you, because they have more power in terms of those numbers and what we can do. Because as a realtor, I don't crunch numbers. I don't know your credit. I don't know how your income. I don't know those things. But the loan officer know those things. So, like Bill said, sometimes we can wiggle maybe an extra 5,000. Maybe we can do an extra 10,000. Depends on the situation. Not all the time, but if the
Mm.
numbers align correctly and if it falls in that program, we may be able to do that. So that's why I always say, hey, how much money can I get extra to help my client?
Exactly.
Bill, we got an extra 5 to 10
Yeah.
that we
Can
can
we
work
get
with.
some? I hear
You
that
know,
every day, all day long, right? Because we're all
exactly,
tight on money. I mean, you get taught, you get taxed on every single thing you turn around and buy. So, yeah, we understand.
exactly.
We're right here with you.
Well,
Awesome.
I'm
Now,
going to
so
say this: when people want to go up $10,000, and they first thing they shout, Bill, $10,000. I don't want to go up $10,000. Bill, how much money is that extra per month for them on
yeah,
a ten
that's
thousand
exactly
dollar
what I did.
increase?
I pulled my calculator, and that's just telling you how well we're teaming up here, just based off of our experience. But that's exactly what I'm saying. So to go up 10 grand, it may really affect your payment by $20, $25, right? $30. It just depends on what's going on, right? But
Exactly.
ideally, like the offer, right? Because it isn't gonna if you go up 10 grand, all right. So at that point in time, I'm looking here on the list reports, and it's showing in your area the median list price is $499,990. Right? I'm just going to round that to 500,000. All right. So at 500,000, and in this market, you guys are gaining. Do you know how much equity growth you have year over year there in your area?
Do I know?
Yeah. Do you know what that is?
I really don't. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm blindsiding you anyway, but I think it's somewhere around 5%.
Okay, I
So
was gonna say that, but I didn't want to give you no number.
yeah,
And you like,
so in 5%, that's $25,000 you're going to make off that house in a year. Okay, and let's look at it from a business standpoint versus all the emotions and oh, I've got a home, right? Let's talk about the actual numbers. So that first year, you're going to make almost $25,000 or more on the house. So to go up 10, what did that hurt you? Nothing, because you got to get there before you can get this,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You got to get the
yeah,
house, right? You got to win the bid, get the house, close on the house, and then that's when all this happens. That's where equity starts coming in at. All right. So if you're
that's
only going to
magic.
lose, yeah, if you're gaining 25 and you're only going to lose 10, you're still gaining 15 grand, right? And you were renting before. So
Exactly.
let's put some things in perspective. So we understand that it's a 10,000 in your mind. It may be, that's a huge number, but in reality, it really isn't. You're buying a $500,000 plus house, right? 10,000 is, a fraction of that amount. Okay.
Yeah.
And it'll be a fraction increase on your payment.
But the
So,
$10,000 would actually get them more home. That's what people
yeah,
don't realize. When you're talking about, okay, I'm looking at a $500,000 and I'm going up to $510,000. You know what? The extra 10, it puts you in a different category for the realtor to search. Okay, so we now searching in that area. And a lot of times what people don't realize is that extra 10 can give you a fireplace. It can give you a
mm,
2-car garage instead of a one. It can move
yep,
you up into a different location. It have a lot of power in terms of the features and the amenities that people look for in houses. And like you said, it's not that much difference in payment. And people look at that big number because $500,000. Oh my gosh, this is the biggest amount I ever had. You know what I'm saying? And but guess what, y'all? Is I hate to say it this way, but I mean it this way. you know, if we had to say $500,000, I get it because I worked hard to save this $500,000. But in actuality, that's borrowed money. Someone's trusting you with their $500,000. You know that saying,
Yeah.
other people money, right? So we're using other people money. So it's like almost you have to be mindful that I always try to break it down into numbers, and then y'all don't quote me on these numbers, okay? But I'm just gonna tell you how I break it down. Always look at $500,000. Okay, $500,000. How much is that per day to live in that house? To live in that $500,000 house, and I told y'all don't quote me no numbers. I'm just gonna throw a number out here, okay? Say like $30 per day, okay? Off of a $500,000 that you're gonna have to live there. Where do you where do you live somewhere in this big beautiful $500,000 house? And if you do the numbers and break it down to the daily rate, it's really really low. It's really really low. So I always look at stuff like that. And when I tell my clients, you're looking at that extra 10,000, but you're getting more for that
Yeah,
extra $10,000.
exactly. We got to get you into the house first, right? And
Exactly.
that get you in there. Very good. Okay, what else we got here, Mary? Okay, so offer goes in, it gets accepted or countered, right?
Or what else?
Or
Or
denied.
rejected if
Or
you don't make
yeah,
a good price.
yes, good point.
But we're
Very
going to
good
be on
point.
the positive side, y'all.
Yes. Now this is Marvel's piece, right? So Marvel is from the moment that she gets in here and she's showing you houses. I mean, mind you, we're a team, right? So we're engaged, both of us, from those early days all the way through this thing. Okay. And we're here for every step of this. All right. So, like, once you get one accepted, we get everything signed, and then Marvel is going to email that information to me, and then I'm going to take that purchase agreement, and then I'm going to transfer all that information into my system. So before, right, we had estimated numbers. We're still dealing with estimated numbers. However, the actual purchase price in there, I've got the realtors listed in the file now. I've got the title company listed in here. We're maybe because of you renegotiating, maybe when I sent out the last numbers so you could see what the payment and stuff was going to be and your estimated closing cost, within that counter offer things changed, so I'm updating that purchase price, making sure everything matches that purchase agreement within my system. Okay, at that point in time, depending on the market, we're in a market of rates kind of dropping. All right, thank God they're finally starting to come down. Right. So, and they should be coming down, mind you. Rates were raised because of COVID, right? Or was it COVID? Probably wasn't. I think COVID lowered them. But anyway, rates went up. Oh, because of the inflation, right? Our inflation was real high, so our interest rates had to go up, to combat the inflation. Well, our inflation's down to 3%, not 9. So we should be getting a break in the rates anytime. Okay, so that's going to be huge. But at that point in time, we're deciding if we're going to lock that rate or not. Okay. If we don't, then we're just going to float it. There's a whole thing about rates, and it's way too much to dive in on something of this nature. But on one-on-ones, I'm always talking to you as my client. So I'm not just locking your rate, though we're discussing it. You're understanding and being educated on how the rates work, so you can make a solid decision based off of what matches your goals, right? This is your money. I'm here to help you and guide you. But keep in mind, the lower the rate that you take, the higher the cost is going to be, right? So we've got to find a happy medium. Plus, we don't want to lock or buy your rate down so long or so low that, you know, you won't recoup that investment for 10 years when rates are dropping, and we're expecting them to drop quite a bit over the next, 12 months or so. So we always say you fall in love with the house, right? And you date a rate because you can always refinance into a lower rate. So get the house, then you figure those things out after the fact. Okay. Um, so after we get the everything signed, this is once again something that Marvel takes care of, and she's going to schedule your inspection, and she's going to take care of your earnest money. You want to talk a little bit about the inspection, and so one thing I want to say about the inspection, yes, it is a fee. Yes, it is a third party, but that third party fee does not come from me and is not included in any of my numbers. Okay, go ahead, Marvel. I'll let you talk about.
And before I get to the inspection, I want to take it back. And I love this
Okay, go
screen.
ahead.
And you know what? We have behind the screen expertise today. We have Murray working our slides. And y'all know what? This is amazing because I get to see everything here. So great job to Murray as well. Thank you. I just want to put that in there. So we're going to go back just a little bit because we did do the home shopping. When you go out and you look for your home and you're like, okay, I love this house. I want this house. Like we said, that team thought being activated. Okay. So my name is Marvel and it's Marvel and it is spelled Marvel. So it's like the Marvel comic. So we're going to be like the Marvel comic realtors here and loan also. We activate our superpowers, right? So this is the thing. So we're working as a team. Once we get you find the perfect house. We're going to talk about that offer price and all of that. And Bill will be the person that will run the numbers and make certain that it fit in the criteria. Also, once we get that offer completed, we're going to include the terms. We're going to include the contingencies. And these are probably some words you have heard of, but you probably need a little more clarification. I don't have time today because we're running out of time to go deep into it. That's where that one-on-one consultation come in. But I would definitely say that so that, we're going to talk about the EMD. Now, I do have time for that because most people don't understand that. So what is an EMD? It's the earnest money deposit. That's like a good faith offer to the seller. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I want to put up this money. It could be 10,000, it could be 5,000, it could be 50,000, it could be 100,000. But I would say this: generally, depending on the market, I always tell my clients 1% of your sales price. Okay. I have seen people get in with $1,000 and, I've been doing this so long. So I have seen that. But it's very rare that I see it now. So I always tell my clients 1% of the sales price that, you would do the earnest money deposit. But this is what I want y'all to understand, because I always have people say, well, guess what? What if I don't want to buy the house? Do I get my earnest money deposit back? What if I don't get the house? Do I get my earnest money deposit back? Well, I would say this: if it's a financial thing and you can't qualify for a house, of course you can't qualify. So those contingencies come in. Contingency is something has to be done. Okay, something has to be done by a due date. So a contingency is the home inspection contingent upon financing. But you know what? If you just wake up and say, I don't want this house, and you're under contract, can you get your earnest money deposit back? I'm not going to say yes, and I'm going to say no, because we may have a contingency we can fall back on, okay? But you have to go through the process. But if you just wake up and say, I want my money back and I want it back now, guess what? No, you're about to be in default. So your money may be at risk, okay? And sometimes, Bill, by the niceness of the seller, they may say, whatever. But 9 times out of 10, it don't go that way, okay? So you have to be certain that this is what you want. And one thing that Bill said, hey, the home inspection, you know what? I can't tell you what's going on with this house. I can look at it. If I see mold growing up the wall, I can say, hey, that looked like mold growing up the wall. If I see there's a big hole in the roof, I can honestly say there's a big hole in the roof. Now, I'm not going to climb up on the roof to tell you what's wrong with that hole, okay? Now I will go up the attic, but that's not only doing the home inspection where you see me in the attic, okay? But this is what I want you to know. He said a third party individual. Yes, you will have to hire a home inspector to take a look at that house. Now, is the home inspection the only type of inspection you can have? No. You can have termite, you can have lead, you can have radon, you can have environmental, you can have septic, you can have a whole lot of inspection. And guess who's responsible for paying for it? Bill. It's like, no, not Bill. You are you are responsible for any inspection you have. And I have had people that say, I don't want a home inspection. That's your right. You can choose not to have a home inspection. But when I hear that from my clients, the first thing I say to them, are you certain? Because I stress the importance of a home inspection. And sometimes people use this as a way to win a house. I mean, I can't deter you from that because that's what you want to do. But when I hear my clients say, I don't want a home inspection, I'll say, okay, that's your decision. But you know how I cover myself? Because I really advise people the importance of the home inspection. I said, you're going to sign a waiver because
Yeah.
I have advised you the importance of the home inspection. Because what people don't understand is I can't tell you what's going on with the house. You can't look at this house with the naked eye. You know, some people bring their dad. Some people may bring an uncle or a friend, and they want to go through the house. But it's important that you let the home inspector do the home inspector's job because they're going to
Yes.
look at are the windows open? They're going to check every electrical unit. They're going to check the water, the plumbing. They're going to go up in the attic. They're going to tell you about the roof. They may tell you some things you didn't even see. So let the home
Yes.
inspector do their job. And I always say this, it may cost money. I ain't gonna say it may cost money. It's going to cost money, right? How much money?
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on the company. It depends on the square footage. But I'm going to tell you, I rather for you to spend $500, $600 on a house you're about to purchase because why are you going to pay $600,000 for a house not knowing the condition of it? Not knowing the condition. And Bill, and I'm going to go back to the car. You don't go to that car dealership and don't look up under the hood. You open the hood up, the trunk. If you do anything like me, I'm gonna tell you what. I open the doors. I roll down the windows. I
Yes.
check everything. I'm looking to see if there's something wrong at the underneath the car. You know, so that's the same as a house. That's exactly what the home inspector going to do. But I would say
Yes.
this: I don't advise you not to get that done simply because why buy a $600,000 house without a home inspection and you get in the house and it's falling apart? You didn't check
Yeah.
if the plumbing is good. You didn't check whether a hole is in the roof. You
Yeah.
haven't checked anything.
Let
So
me
a
put this in
home is
perspective. Yeah, let me help you out here. So a home inspection, that home inspector is going to spend a good 4 to 6 hours in that house. Okay. And that is to make sure for you that you know everything about the house. Okay. Mind you, you're putting this much money down. The bank, right? My side of the fence, we've got this much money involved, right? All the rest of it, the 90, 5% of it or whatever that is.
Mhm,
And we're relying on an appraiser. The appraiser spends 15, 20 minutes in a house,
mhm,
just to give you a perspective, right? When everything happened and COVID came out, um, house prices were blowing up. Um, my wife and I were relocating, and my family were relocating from Gulf Shores, Alabama, moving back up to Indiana. We made two offers on two houses I fell in love with. All right, they're on a lake. That's it. That's our house. The hands down. We're that's that. I'm so excited. We get the inspection. Foundation crack. You
mm,
know what a foundation crack would have cost me?
yeah,
I mean, I would have lost the home, probably been
mhm,
bankruptcy. I mean, it'd have been a nightmare, right? But that inspection prevented us from buying that house in the blind, right? So once again, this is a bad time to be buying a house because everyone's trying to buy a house. We buy another house because, and we didn't get it inspected because we were told it was
mm,
a VA loan on it. Well, I'm a loan officer. If that thing had a VA loan on it, then I know it's already been checked from A to Z.
mm.
Nope, we were lied to. So after the first 6 months, go to flush the toilet. Well, it didn't going down.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
that's because the septic's full. Oh, okay. We just got to get it pumped out. Well, how much is that? Well, it's $500. Oh, okay. Well, that's a pretty good hit, but here's 500 bucks. Oh, well, what do you mean something's wrong with the septic? Oh,
Mhm.
well, that's a five to $10,000 fix. Okay. So these are all the little things that you need to rely on professionals like us to make sure that you're getting the best information, right? We're here to protect you and help you in every way that we can.
Absolutely. I tell you what, if you didn't get that home
Scary.
inspection, that foundation would have cracked. Your house would have been floating down the lake or river or whatever you was on. But
Exactly.
I would say this. The main thing about a home inspection, yes, it tells you everything that you need to know about a house. It tells you how to maintain your house as well. But one thing I need you to understand, a home inspection is not a pass or fail. It's not like a test. Oh, I'm a pass or I'm a fail. It's not that. It's not a grade. It's not an A, B, C, or D. Okay. It's just really tell you about the things that's going on in the house, safety and hazardous things that's in the house, and also how things you may need to maintain as you go along with the house. But it tells you the snapshot of the house. Like trust me, when I got the house, me and my friend, we was living in the house at the time, and he went to work. Okay, he went to work, and I'm like, oh, let me be in the house, a new house, and everything. And look, I have to say this. Me being me, I was like, I don't like the washing machine over there. I think it need to move over about 2 to 3 inches, right? So I'm pushing this washing machine. Oh, it's tight, but I'm scooting like this to push it over. Next thing I know, it hit the water line, and the water just shot out everywhere. And I'm in this house now. We have not been in this house no longer than 2 weeks, maybe. I don't know. But I hit the water line, and water just gushing out, flooding everything. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm calling the water company. Hey, how do I turn this off? They said, I don't know. We're gonna have to send someone out. And I run now. I'm running around. I don't know none of the neighbors, but I'm running around down the street, knocking on the door. Hey, can you tell me where the water shut off valve is at? And everyone, oh, we don't know. We don't know. And I said, oh my goodness, house is flooding. And when it came, the water company came, they went into the bedroom and they said, I don't know why it's in there, but anyway, this is your main water shut off. So they shut it off. I had a flooded house by this time, right? But guess
Yeah.
what? That's what the inspector would do. They tell you where those things are at. This is the shut off for your gas.
Yes.
This is the shut off for the outside water. So trust me, it's very, very important that you get the home inspection, pay attention, and don't
Mhm.
end up like me, running around with my head cut off trying to find this water. And it was so funny because I called my mom. I didn't know what to do. And my mom and my dad, they came down and they doing the same thing I was doing, looking for this valve. So it's an
Exactly.
education component as well.
Yeah, it's definitely helpful. Okay, so back to the
Mhm.
PowerPoint. So the next thing is, so that earnest money is going to come off of my numbers, right? Because you're putting money actually down that's going to be reflecting to the loan. All right. So once you've done that, it's time to e-sign the documents. We'll go through them. Everything gets handled through email these days. With Rocket, you'll get a early on in the like once you complete your loan application, you're going to receive emails to set up your Rocket account. So you'll already be in there, and so you'll just sign back into your account. We'll go through the documents. You'll e-sign everything. Like I said before, I'll lock it or float the rate. Then at that point in time, your file gets submitted into processing. Once your file gets submitted into processing, it virtually, I think we have like, I don't know, 8 people that jump on the file. They jump on the file, tear it all apart, and then put it all back together. So during that, they're ordering title, they're ordering flood certification, they're checking on your homeowner's insurance, they're verifying your employment. I mean, they're doing all these things. They have this huge checklist behind the scenes and they're just checking boxes, right? So as you get through the processing, um, first thing we're going to do, once the inspection's cleared, we're good there. We're going to order an appraisal. All right. Then they're going to order title, like I said. And then at that point in time, now, mind you, we've actually moved our underwriting. to the beginning stages up here in this pre-approval. I just didn't make that change because it's so, one, it's different than everybody else, and two, it's just another moment for me to bring that to your attention, that we move that. That's normally where that condition's at, and we move it clear to the beginning. All right. So we don't even need to worry about approving you at that moment because we've already done that. So now we're just looking, like I said earlier, clear title. Once we get clear title and we can close, then at that point in time, you get a clear to close. That clear to close means you've made it, we finalize, you're good to go. Now you can
Absolutely.
schedule. Now you can schedule the closing. All right. Now we still haven't seen final numbers, right? From the beginning all the way up to this point has been estimated numbers. At that point in time, my closing team is going to be communicating with the title company. The title company is going to release our final numbers to us. Yes, I know it sounds weird. We're the finance company, but the title's given us. Yeah, it's all came back when the housing market crashed, and this was now part of their responsibility in the process. Okay, so once they provide final numbers, that's going to tell us how much your funds to close are going to be. Now, mind you, excuse me, I still got a little cough. In your pre-approval numbers, those are going to be overestimated. Okay, they're overestimated on purpose because every third party charges a different fee. Every title company has a different fee. Every appraiser has a different fee. So there's no way that we can be precise up front when we don't even know who's doing the appraisal. I don't even know who's doing the closing, right? So that's why at the end is where all your final numbers come true. All right. But once again, we like to under promise and over deliver. And that's why our numbers are estimated. Everybody's are going to be estimated. We estimate ours about $1,500, $2,000 over. It's kind of what it seems like. So at that point in time, you get your final numbers. Should be a very good day because it's less than what we expected in the beginning, right? And then at that point in time, you're just going to wire those funds. If it's more than 10,000, normally title companies want you to use, you can use a cashier's check from anything from, 0 to 10,000. Anything 10,000 above, they normally want you to wire it. So during this time, you want to make sure that, you know, you're paying close attention. You're contacting, we'll verify, make sure the wire instructions are really from the right title company and not from anyone that's bogus, right? There's fraud out there that we're always looking over our shoulder for. So we'll make sure none of that happens. And then at that point in time, you already got the closing scheduled, right? Marvell will be there at the closing with you. I'm sure she goes to every one of them. I know I used to. If there's anything around me, mind you, I'm licensed in 11 states. So I'm not just going to fly to, California next week and go to a closing and then fly to, Gulf Shores, Alabama for the next. So I'm here in spirit. I'm here, rooting you on, and my team's always excited to get to the end and get to the point where someone's getting their keys. I mean, there's nothing more rewarding than getting a set of house keys
Exactly.
versus a set of car keys, right? So huge. And then, like we said before, this isn't where we stop. No, this is where we just continue, right?
Hmm.
Because you're still going to have questions. You're still going to go, well, when's my homeowner's insurance due? When do I pay my taxes? All these things. So I'm always going to be here. My phone's always on. I know Marvell's phone's always on as well. So this is kind of where the relationship just continues to build, right? I mentioned early on that,
Absolutely.
a lot of my clients become friends, right? And that's because of this process. And what a process it is. It's high anxiety at times. There's a lot of stress that goes into this, and mind you, we're all different people, so we all handle stress differently, right? Being a numbers person, dealing with people who are numbers people is very challenging at times because once again these numbers are going to continue changing throughout the process, but once again we're going to focus on what I estimated in the very beginning. Okay, because sometimes you look at the file during certain time of the process, they might not have the seller credit in there. So they may be showing you need 10 more $1,000 than what you need to. So that's why we tell you not to worry about the estimated numbers. We'll go off of what we first stated. What I first stated, you've already agreed to. I've already verified that you can do it. We're in good shape, right?
Yeah,
So everything should be flowing, should be good at that point in time.
absolutely.
Okay.
Now, one thing I heard you say, you said once you get that offer, your team jump on it. And that's a good thing because we have to move this transaction along. And I know that a lot of times people are like, oh my gosh, this is so quick. Oh my gosh, they asking me for all these items. Have those documents kind of ahead of time. But yes, they're going to ask you for items. And I don't know, like Bill, sometimes the bank may say, hey, I need the latest bank statement. And my client be like, I just gave them a bank statement. And I'm like, they need another one. They need the most recent. And
Yes,
I tell them all the time, there's going to be times where you're going to get so frustrated in this process because it's new, it's unfamiliar.
it can be.
But you have to understand that, let me just put it this way. If we don't get that bank statement, you're not getting a house.
It's that simple.
That's just that simple. Now, do you want
Yep.
to keep that bank statement or do you want to get a house? And it do get frustrating. I tell my clients all the time, if it get overwhelming, let me know. Because I would call and say, hey, you know what? They overwhelmed with all these emails. I know you have to send them, but give them a day or two, okay? And you know what? We're trying to get this process through, but we're not trying to stress you out through it. And sometimes
Correct.
the loan also be like, hey, no problem. We want it, but we won't have to slow it down just a tad bit. I did not say slow it down forever, y'all. I said a tad bit. And
Yeah,
I
that
even
that may
say,
be
come
the
into my
one
office.
thing. That may be the
Yeah,
one thing that slows down, but everything else is moving
it's
because we got
moving
a
along.
date to hit.
Exactly. And and it's almost like, okay, if you get overwhelmed, come in. Let me help you. And trust me, all that paper they be bringing, oh my gosh, they be bringing files. But I'm like, okay, we got to get it done. So, it's overwhelming. And I would say this, the whole process can be. And I have seen people cry in front of me. I heard
Mhm.
people get upset with me. I have people who husband and wife, the wife like, you're not sleeping with me tonight. You're on the couch.
Yeah,
It's emotional. So
it's
I would
tough.
just always say expect the emotions, okay? But if you just deal with it for a short period of time, because you can buy a house, like you said, 15 days, 30 days, that's a short window of time knowing you're going to be living in this house for a longer period. Okay.
Yes,
So, let's just get it done. Let's get it done. And that's the process right there. Easy breezy.
that is it. Okay, let's talk about some programs. So I'll kind of just buzz through programs because this is kind of more of, loan officer stuff. But I just want to really, once you look at these, I want you to realize how many things that I have at my fingertips to help you. Okay. So it isn't just one or two programs. No, we got a whole bunch of programs to help. All right. Conventional. This is probably the most common, most people know because, you know, banks, credit unions, everybody, sells this. So you need a 620 credit score. These are normally 3 to 5% down programs. You need to put 20% down to avoid PMI. PMI is a primary or a private mortgage insurance that you're charged for risk. About as simple as that, right? You pay 20% down. You don't have to pay the penalty of not putting 20% down, as say, right? Um, our PMI is about 60% less than what the market is. That's huge. With us being, one of the biggest mortgage companies in the nation, it gives us a little power, right? Power with Fannie and Freddie, and to say, hey, we need to keep making sure that we are doing what we can to keep our customer payments down. Okay. So that's one thing that Rocket does. It kind of makes us stand out. The One Plus, that's that 1% down for you, 2% free grant from us. Mind you, the max purchase price on that's 350. So I know your market's a little higher, but you do have some homes that are kind of fit in that bottom area. So that's a program that may work, as well in your area. FHA, You just need a 580 credit score with us. That's normally 3.5% down to 5% down. If you're buying a condo, that's 5% down versus 3.5. This is one of the we probably qualify more people on an FHA loan than we do any other program. We are the number one FHA lender in the nation, and guidelines allow us to approve, more clients with this program. It's a good program to get into a house, not necessarily a good long-term program, right? Because we fall back into that PMI. On a conventional, PMI can actually fall off when you're,
Mhm.
80% versus, 11 years with an FHA loan. Okay. So that's that minor guideline stuff that we'll talk about once you get in that scenario. VAs, we love VAs. I love veterans. I do whatever I can to support my veterans. We go down to 580 credit score. That's a 0% down program. Um, Next year, our focus is to being the number one VA lender. Okay. That's huge when you commit to these things. All right. Because there's a lot of competition out here for this business. But I can tell you, this last scenario, um, Maryland purchase, him and his wife were getting a divorce. So his VA was on this house, attached to this house, and he was buying a new one. We needed to get that transferred to the new house, right? So we ended up closing the same day and did it all in one day. All right, that's huge. That's impressive. Most companies can't do that, but we were definitely able to do that. Self-employed, Marvell. There's real estate agents. All you real estate agents out there are self-employed, right? That doesn't mean that, my God, I can't buy anything. No, it's
Mhm.
just a different structure for us, right? So in this category, you need a 680 credit score. Um, if you've been in business less than 5 years, then we probably need, 2 years of your Schedule C. If you've been in business longer than 5 years, then we only need 1 year tax returns. All right. Or if you're like, I I hire the best accountant. I tip her with chocolate and and anything I can. It's just my wife laughs at me so much, but I do. I mean, because she's making or breaking what I'm going to pay or not pay for my taxes, and like it's going to change anything in all reality, right? But at the end of the day, it makes me feel good. And, and she loves the chocolate, so whatever, right? But this is all about being self-employed, right? So when you're self-employed, things are totally different with your income. All right. So you write everything off because you don't want to pay Uncle Sam any more money once you have to, right? So 9 out of 10 times your tax return income is going to be very low compared to what you truly make. So we have options. If we can't get it done with your tax return, no worries. Let's pull some bank statements, right? Let's pull 12 months or 24 months of your business bank statements or your personal, depending on how you do your handle in your business, right? At that point in time, that's huge. All right. Because now I'm taking, if you provide a service like real estate agents do, I'm going to take 20% off the top of all your yearly deposits. Okay. I'm going to divide the rest of it by 12. I'm going to use that income. And I've done this for 23 years. I normally have one or two real estate agent loans a month that I do. And I'm here to tell you that 9 out of 10 times you're looking at a 250 to $300,000 house based off of your tax returns, if that. Or we do the bank statement deal and you're looking for six, seven, $800,000 houses.
Mhm.
That's how big of a difference it is. Okay. So if you're running a business, it doesn't matter what the business is necessarily doing. It's about the money that you're putting in your account. Okay. So let me evaluate things based off the programs. All right. Let's see how we can help you. The next one, asset depletion. This is an interesting one, and I've come to love this thing. So if you're retired, you got any fixed income, but you got a lot of assets, awesome. Because before I'm qualifying you once again for that $250,000 house. If you have assets, perfect. I can take those assets and I can subtract out the closing costs, any kind of reserve requirements we need, and then I can divide that by 84. I can tell you, I just did one. Guy had like 700,000 in assets. If we used his income, he qualified for a $220,000 house in a market that was 400,000. So he didn't wouldn't even be able to buy the lowest offered house in the neighborhood. Two, giving me those assets, me doing the math. Now instead of I think like $2,800 of income, now I was showing like 6,300 in income. So he was able to purchase that house in his neighborhood. If we didn't have that program, we wouldn't be able to help that gentleman,
Yeah.
right? So jumbos, there's a lot of people that are about buying $1 million properties. Well, we can reach that level too. We got a jumbo smart program, 680 credit. That'll get you to 2 million. 720 get you to 2.5. 740 gets you up to 3 million. Now this thing is priced 1%, almost it's like 0.875% less than our conventional pricing.
Mm.
I've never seen that. Every jumbo I've ever seen has always been higher than conventional. So I was super impressed with that. So if you're looking to buy a $1 million house to 2 to 3 million, we got the program for you. Super Jumbo, I love this program too. It goes up to 5 million. You can use these programs for your owner occupied second home or an investment home. We'll dive into those categories another time. Mary, can you go ahead and go to the next page? So here's some other programs that we have that are solving problems. Okay. So buy before you sell. Now you're trying to sell your home, but you're not getting any offers. All right. This is where the quick buy offers come in. They'll give you an immediate offer within just a couple days, and we can close it in like 14, 15 days. All right. As a real estate agent, that's your client. You get paid whatever negotiated fee that you negotiated. Okay. It doesn't affect you whatsoever. Let's say, as the real estate agent, you tell your client, I'm pretty sure we can sell it for more. Okay, perfect. They're going to lock that first offer in for 150 days, give you 150 days to sell the property for more. If it doesn't sell, guess what? You still got that cash offer.
Mhm.
Okay. Some people have bad credit, but they're in a situation where they need money. Well, you can't tap the equity because your credit's bad. So they have to sell. Okay, well, this gives you an opportunity to sell, get the money, pay off your credit cards, not have to move, rebuild your credit. 6 months, go buy another house. Okay,
Okay.
so that's good. Bridge loans. If you currently own a house and have equity in it, we can tap that equity before you sell it. Okay, so then you can buy once again before you sell. All right, we'll dive into those programs if you're obviously one of those people. Now, one of the favorite things that we've got going on is this 1.0 free temporary rate buy down that we're doing here at Rocket. So this is what allows you to get truly a 1% lower payment than what the market's showing. All right. So for the first 12 months, you're going to get a discounted payment, and it's going to be 1% less than what you were paying, which is huge. All right. As an interest rate. Like, I truly locked a rate at 5.625. The APR was 6.328%. And for the first year, they were getting a payment base of 4.625%. That's huge. I mean, that is huge, right?
Yeah.
Our national down payment assistance, we just kicked this in. So as Rocket, mind you, Rocket changed our whole mission statement to helping everybody home, because we believe everyone who wants to buy a home should be able to buy a home. So to open up our guidelines and programs that we can offer, we're now accepting state programs and local programs that offer down payment assistance. All right. So if you have any there, Marvel, in your area that the state has, right,
Mhm.
that are giving people down payment money, we want to know that information so we can go out there and see if we can qualify for those, so we can add those to our program list as well.
Okay,
Okay,
perfect. Yeah.
that's pretty
We have
awesome.
the Maryland mortgage program here. That's
Okay,
one of the big ones. So yeah.
perfect. Right, we want to help too. We're here. If you choose us to be your lender, we want to be able to offer everything that we can get you. All right.
Well, let me ask you this right quick. So
Yeah.
with your programs, like the Maryland mortgage programs, um, do you stack programs? Like, say for instance, no. Oh,
No, we
okay.
normally don't stack anything.
Okay.
Just because it's double dipping, right? We all want to, but they don't let us.
They don't let you. Well, that's okay.
Yeah,
You have a lot of programs here, to be honest with you, that can fit anyone's
just
situation.
just about
This is
anything.
like a buffet of
Yeah,
loans.
I love it. Like this non-QM, I mean, that's truly what that is. So
Mhm.
non-QM, QM is quality mortgages, and that's everything that fits Fannie and Freddie guidelines. All right, Fannie and Freddie are the two giant. I think they're still under government something. I don't know since the housing crash, but anyway, they buy up more mortgage-backed securities than anyone else out there. So when you have that buying power, you set the rules. So non QM are all those properties that don't fit the criteria that Fannie and Freddie are looking for. Like maybe that condo has a reception desk, right?
Mhm.
And that just doesn't fit Fannie's guidelines. So you wouldn't be able to qualify with a Fannie program to buy that property. So we open it up to non QM programs in order to buy these programs. So we can now finance those programs or those properties that we couldn't before. The DSCR, one of my favorite programs, this is more of an investor program, but as long as the rent covers the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, no income needs to be disclosed. We can now close on that house. Those are awesome. USDA is coming. It's a 0% down. It doesn't have PMI. It normally has lower rates and fees. However, it's only offered in certain areas. All right. So we use our One Plus program to really replace the USDA. Right. You only need 1% down. You can buy anywhere. You're not stuck in a certain area. Um, but anyways, we're getting that program. It's coming soon. Builder forwards, something that I'm really looking forward to. We're now going to be starting to lend directly to builders to help them finance their projects and subdivisions. That's coming soon. Closing in an LLC or a trust. Some people have businesses, right? They want to keep things separated. So this is, something else that we offer that particular buyer.
Oh,
All right,
okay. Well, this
Mary.
is perfect.
Yeah, Mary. Next slide. That's really about it, guys. That's all we have for today. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to myself, Marvell. We're here to help you in any way that we possibly can to make your buying successful, right? I mean, the whole idea is to start this thing, go through the process, find the house of your dreams, qualify for everything be nice and smooth, everything come back accordingly, and poof, next thing you know, we're getting there clear to close so you can schedule your closing and figure out what your final numbers are from there.
Absolutely. And this has been a pleasure. And I would say this, if you're interested in buying a house, please reach out to Bill. There's his information as well. And if you're interested in buying in Maryland, I would love to assist you. My number is 301-283-1601. You can call or you can text, or you can email me at marveltherealtor@gmail.com. But I also want to say this, even though I'm in the Maryland area, I can help you anywhere you decide to move. I work with a organization called Real Estate Ladies Rock. We have over 50,000 plus, and it may be more now,
I think
realtors
it's
that
more.
actually is more. I'm telling
I
the
think it
old
is.
information. And look, I'm going to stand up for a quick second. As you can see, Real Estate Ladies Rock. So let me tell you about this. Say, for instance, you live in Maryland right now, and you're like, I want to go to Alaska. That's no problem. Just give me a call. I do have realtors in Alaska, I can help you national, and I also have international contacts. So if you want to move to not to Puerto Rico, I'm so sorry. If you want to move to Ghana or somewhere of that nature, we do have realtors there to assist you. Today has been all about helping the buyer, from the start to the finish. Talking about the loans, talking about the process. But I'm going to tell you something, that is just the beginning. This is the top layer. We need to go deeper. So if you want to go deeper, reach out to Bill, get pre-qualified. You need to get that golden ticket, or give me a call. I told you earlier, I do one-on-one consultations. They're absolutely free. We don't bite. We don't jump on nobody. We just we're just here to provide you the information. So once again, I am Marvell Truesdale, the real estate educator, and it was an absolute pleasure being here with you today, Bill, and also talking to your audience. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. You're an educator. I love that. You're part of the Real Estate Ladies Rock Group. I love that. We love you, Coach Ella. We
Yes,
appreciate everything that you do for us. And that's really all we have, guys. Thank you for your time today. And we'll be talking to you soon. All right.
absolutely. Let's get our telephones ringing. Let's get you a house. And let's make, you know what? We have like 2 more months. Well, going into one more month. November is here. So one more month. We can get you into a
It's here.
house before the end of the year. But I'm telling you what, this is where you really need to start buckling down, because in 2026, you can own a home. It may not come in the first month, it may not come in the second month, but with Bill fixing your credit, helping you along the way, me guiding you through the process, you will be a homeowner in 2026.
Yes, I love that. Thank
Well,
you so
thank you,
much.
Bill. Thanks, Mary.
We appreciate you, Marvel.
No